The year is 750 AD. The city of Chang'an is the largest city on Earth. Nearly 1 million people live inside enormous walls that stretch for miles across the northern plains of China. At the center of it all rules Emperor Xuanzang of the Tang Dynasty, presiding over an empire that stretches from the Korean peninsula to the borders of Persia. This is the Tang Dynasty at its absolute peak, before rebellion, before decline, when China stands as the most advanced civilization on the planet. But what would it actually feel like to spend a single day here? Not as an emperor, not as a powerful general, but as an ordinary person navigating the largest and most cosmopolitan city the world has ever seen. Let's step back 1,300 years and experience a day in Tang Dynasty Chang'an. The sun has not yet risen, but the city is already waking. Before you see the streets fill with people, you hear it. From the towering bell tower, a massive bronze bell begins to ring. Its deep sound echoes across the city again and again, 108 times. This is the signal. The city gates are opening. The nightly curfew has ended, and movement through Chang'an is allowed once more. You live inside one of the city's residential wards, known as a fang. Chang'an is not a chaotic city like many ancient capitals. It is carefully planned. The entire city is arranged in a massive grid of 108 walled neighborhoods, each with its own gates that are locked every night. Wide avenues run perfectly straight for miles from north to south and east to west. Everything here reflects order, symmetry, and control. Your house is modest but comfortable. It is built from wood with a tiled roof and paper windows that glow softly in the morning light. Inside, there is a small courtyard where your family eats and works. You are not wealthy, but you are not poor either. You work as a low-ranking government clerk, part of the massive bureaucracy that keeps the Tang Empire functioning. Outside, the streets are already alive. Officials hurry toward government offices. Servants carry buckets of water from public wells. Merchants open their shops while cooks prepare breakfast for hungry customers. Buddhist monks wearing saffron robes walk quietly through the streets, chanting morning prayers. Religion is everywhere in Chang'an. Towering pagodas rise above the rooftops, and hundreds of Buddhist temples can be found throughout the city. Buddhism arrived here centuries earlier along the Silk Road and has become deeply rooted in Chinese society. But it is not the only belief practiced here. Chang'an is the most religiously diverse city in the world. Taoist temples stand beside Confucian academies. There are even Zoroastrian fire temples, Nestorian Christian churches, and mosques used by Muslim traders from Persia and Arabia. People from across Eurasia live and worship side by side in this enormous city. By the time the sun rises fully, you are walking toward the northern district of Chang'an, where the imperial city stands. This is the political heart of the empire. It is where the emperor lives and where the government operates. You pass through the Great Vermilion Bird Gate, one of the main entrances to the administrative district. The avenue leading toward it is astonishingly wide, nearly 500 feet across. It is wider than any street in Rome and far larger than anything that exists in medieval Europe. Rows of trees line both sides of the road. Officials ride past on horseback, while nobles travel in elaborate palanquins carried by servants. Guards watch carefully as people move through the city. Your destination is the Ministry of Revenue. Your work here is not glamorous. Most of your time is spent copying documents, recording taxes, and organizing official reports. But the fact that you have this job at all is remarkable. You earned your position by passing the imperial examination system. In Tang, China, government positions are theoretically open to any man who can pass the exams. The tests are incredibly difficult. They require knowledge of Confucian philosophy, history, poetry, and calligraphy. You spent years studying thousands of Chinese characters and memorizing classical texts. Most candidates fail, but you passed, and now you are part of the machine that governs an empire of nearly 50 million people. Inside the ministry, scribes are already at hard work. Ink brushes glide across paper and silk scrolls. Paper was invented in China centuries earlier, and while it remains rare in much of the world, it is common here in the Tang capital. The government produces thousands of documents every day. Tax records, legal rulings, military reports, and diplomatic messages from distant kingdoms all pass through offices like this. Endless paperwork is how the Tang Dynasty manages such a vast empire. By mid-morning, your work slows, and you decide to walk toward one of the most fascinating places in the entire city, the West Market. This is where the Silk Road ends. Merchants from across Asia and the Middle East gather here to trade goods that have traveled thousands of miles. The market itself is enormous, covering more than 200 acres. Shops are organized by trade. Metal workers occupy one district, silk dealers another, and food vendors fill entire streets with the smell of spices and roasted meat. The people here come from everywhere. You hear languages you barely recognize: Persian, Sogdian, Sanskrit, and Arabic. Foreign merchants wear clothing unlike anything seen in traditional Chinese fashion. Some wear long, colorful robes, others tall, pointed hats or wrapped turbans. Many of these traders have lived in Chang'an for years. Some have married Chinese women and raised families here. The Tang Empire does not fear foreigners, it welcomes them. You stop at a stall run by a merchant from Central Asia who sells thick flatbread baked in a clay oven. It tastes very different from the steamed buns common in Chinese cooking. You pay with copper coins, round with a square hole in the middle, the standard currency used across the empire. Nearby, silk merchants display brilliant fabrics in every color imaginable: red, gold, emerald green, deep blue. Silk is China's most valuable export, and the secrets of its production are carefully guarded. Selling the fabric is allowed, but revealing how it is made can be punishable by death. Later in the afternoon, you visit the Imperial Academy, where scholars gather to study and debate philosophy. Today, a poetry contest is taking place. In Tang, China, poetry is not just entertainment, it is a mark of education and refinement. Officials, scholars, and even famous courtesans are expected to write poetry. Some poets become celebrities across the empire. Names like Li Bai and Du Fu are known everywhere. In the contest, young scholars must compose a poem following strict rules: 8 lines, 5 characters per line, exact tonal patterns, and precise rhymes. The judges carefully examine each poem for technique, emotion, and imagery. Winning such a contest can bring prestige and perhaps even a better position in the bureaucracy. Inside the academy, the library holds hundreds of scrolls and books. Confucian classics, Buddhist sutras, historical records, and collections of poetry line the shelves. Some texts are copied by hand, but others are produced using a new technology called woodblock printing. Carved wooden blocks are inked and pressed against paper to create identical copies of a text. For now, monasteries mainly use this method to print religious writings, but in the future, it will help spread knowledge across the world. As the sun begins to set, drums echo from towers across the city. This is the warning that curfew is approaching. Soon, the gates of every residential ward will close, and no one will be allowed to move through the streets until morning. But not everyone obeys the rules. Near the West Market, lanterns begin to light the darkening streets. Food stalls reopen, and musicians begin playing. Technically, this night market is illegal, but the authorities often ignore it. Too many people enjoy it. The air fills with music and laughter. Vendors sell grilled meats, fried pastries, and sweet cakes. Wine flows freely, including grape wine imported from the West and rice wine brewed locally. Dancers perform in colorful costumes, while storytellers entertain crowds with tales of history and legend. This is the vibrant side of Tang China, far removed from the strict order of the imperial bureaucracy. Eventually, the night watch begins patrolling the streets. Government soldiers enforce the curfew, and anyone caught outside too late can be fined, beaten, or arrested. You hurry back toward your ward just in time. The heavy wooden gates slam shut and metal bars drop into place. Until morning, everyone inside is locked in.
This is the paradox of Chang'an. It is the most cosmopolitan and sophisticated city in the world, filled with foreigners, new ideas, and artistic culture. Yet, it is also tightly controlled. Every household is registered, every neighborhood monitored, and every movement regulated. Inside your home, paper windows glow softly with lamplight. Your family gathers for a simple dinner of rice, vegetables, and perhaps a little fish. Your children practice calligraphy, carefully copying characters again and again. Education is everything in Tang China. Passing the imperial exams can transform an entire family's future. You help your son correct the strokes of his brush. Perhaps one day he will rise higher in the bureaucracy than you ever did. For nearly 3 centuries, the Tang Dynasty ruled one of the most powerful and sophisticated civilizations on Earth. Later generations would remember it as a golden age of Chinese history. And on this ordinary day in Chang'an, life continues much as it always has, a city of poetry and bureaucracy, of foreign traders and imperial officials, of strict curfews and hidden night markets, all unfolding inside the greatest city the world has ever seen.